Hey, how's everyone doing? This is Joe. Welcome back to our journey through the Gospel of St. Mark. We are on what I feel is a very profitable and exciting journey. We are looking to strengthen our hearts and make our hearts more peaceful at the same time. What more could we ask for? And it helps us so much to living a life that is filled with more purpose. I think St. Mark has helped us along the way, and hopefully our reflections that accompany the scripture is helping as well. Today won't be no different. We're going to talk about the importance of consistency and how important that is, especially in one area of life. So I'm going to ask you, as I always do, to quiet your minds and hearts. We are jumping into Mark chapter 10, verses 32 to 34. They were on their way up to Jerusalem with Jesus leading the way, and the disciples were astonished, while those who followed were afraid. Again, he took the 12 aside and told them what was going to happen to him. "We're going up to Jerusalem," he said, "and the Son of Man will be delivered over to the chief priests and the teachers of the law. They will condemn him to death and will hand him over to the Gentiles, who will mock him and spit on him, flog him and kill him. 3 days later, he will rise." We see in the gospel today, in this passage from St. Mark, a very interesting lesson on courage and the importance to be consistent in our courage in how we approach fearful situations. There are two types of courage. The first one comes upon us very quickly at a time of need. And we all know what those might be. When we maybe have a child who's walking beside us who gets away from us, and we need to act very quickly with courage and less fear and pick up that child before they get into danger on a street or something along those lines. Those types of courage we certainly all, or most, we rise to the occasion to, and that is one type to look at. The other is courage that can be built over time. And that is the courage that Jesus was working on with his disciples in the gospel today. He was trying to give them as much information as possible about the situation at hand that was going to lead to his death and their need to leave fear behind and have a consistent sense of courage. How then do we do that? Well, I feel as if it's very important in this reflection to look at some of my martial arts training, where you build up over time your experiences. No one goes from white belt to black belt overnight. It takes time, it takes consistency in our actions, and it's a building block type system, if you will, where we build upon every accomplishment that we do that we said we couldn't do, and we continue to have that mindset to say, I'm going to overcome the fear, the uncertainty, and be consistent and move up the line. Therefore, we look in our life and we say, where were the situations where I needed to build up my levels of courage? Where were they? They're there. They are absolutely there. It's just a matter of going back. And in this situation, I'm going to ask you to journal them. And I'm going to ask you to journal them for an important reason, because they were your starting points. They were situations where, whether it was a huge flight of steps that you said you couldn't go up, whether it was going to a height that you said you couldn't do, and then you did it. Whatever the cases were, reflect back on them and then build on them. This is the consistency we need, but we need a starting point. We need a point where we could say, yes, I had courage in this situation, and then I was able to build further and further and further, and then you will continue to build because you will build momentum off of that consistency. Where does this take us? Well, Jesus was obviously taking them to the ultimate need for courage and leaving behind fear, which was his death, which was impending. We have those same situations, my friends. We are always a step away, I'm just being honest with you here, to losing someone, to a situation where a real difficulty is upon us. And that's why it's important to take stock in where we were. what we learned and how we can continue to be consistent in our acts of courage. We all have that in us. It's just a matter of pulling it out and realizing it and appreciating it. So, my friends, this time there's a little bit of homework in it for you, and hopefully you're willing to do it. I know you are. So please take some time to reflect back and list your times of courage. Realize where you were, appreciate where you are. Tell yourself that that is where you have been consistent to this point, and you will continue to build upon those acts of courage, leaving behind fear in your life. Well, my friends, that's our message for this Mark chapter 10 verse. I hope it was helpful for you. I look forward to seeing you in the next video. And between now and then, take good care and have courage. Take care, everyone.